Have you ever looked at your dog or cat and thought, you understand me better than any human ever could? You come home after a terrible day. People have disappointed you. Words have failed you. Expectations have crushed you. And there, waiting at the door, is a creature who asks nothing but presence. No explanations required. No justifications needed. Just acceptance. This is not weakness. This is not misanthropy. This is not hatred of humanity. What you are experiencing is something Michel de Montaigne understood 500 years ago when he played with his cat and wondered who was really entertaining whom. You are reaching for something humans have complicated beyond recognition, pure, unconditional, wordless understanding. If you have ever felt more comfortable with animals than people, this is for you. Stay with me. What you are about to discover will change how you see both connection and isolation. Human relationships are complicated by a factor most of us refuse to acknowledge: judgment. Every interaction with another person carries invisible weight. They are evaluating your words, your appearance, your status, your intelligence, your worthiness. You are doing the same to them, whether you admit it or not. This is the exhausting dance of social existence. Animals do not judge. A dog does not care if you failed at work today. A cat does not withdraw affection because you said something awkward at a party. They exist in a realm beyond human performance anxiety. They offer what psychologists call unconditional positive regard, the same quality therapists spend years learning to provide. Your pet gives it naturally, without training, without effort. But why does this matter so deeply? Because human beings are wired for acceptance. We need to be seen without being evaluated. We need to be known without being measured. In modern society, this has become nearly impossible. Every conversation is a performance. Every relationship is transactional. Every connection requires maintenance, explanation, and constant recalibration of expectations. Michel de Montaigne observed this centuries before modern psychology named it. In his essay Apology for Raymond Sebond, he spent considerable time examining his relationship with his cat. He wrote about the mutual play between them and asked the question that still disturbs people today: when I play with my cat, who knows if I am not a pastime to her more than she is to me? He was questioning human superiority. He was dismantling the assumption that we are always the subjects and animals are always the objects. This was revolutionary. Montaigne recognized that animals possess their own inner lives, their own perspectives, their own forms of intelligence that do not require language to be valid. He saw what most humans refuse to see, that complexity is not the same as depth, and that the simplicity of animal connection might actually be more profound than the labyrinth of human social games. People who prefer animals are not broken. They are sensitive. They have grown weary of the masks, the scripts, the performances that human society demands. They have discovered that authenticity still exists, but not where we have been looking for it. Montaigne understood something that modern psychology has only recently validated: the concept of emotional safety. When you interact with an animal, your nervous system relaxes in ways it rarely does with humans. There is no threat of betrayal, no risk of manipulation, no possibility of your vulnerabilities being weaponized later. This is not about animals being better than people. This is about communication beyond words. Humans have become so dependent on language that we have forgotten how to read presence itself. We think connection requires explanation. We believe understanding demands articulation. Animals prove this wrong every single day. Watch a dog respond to your emotional state without you saying a word. Observe a cat who knows when you need distance and when you need closeness. This is not magic. This is attunement. This is the original form of empathy that existed before language complicated everything. Montaigne wrote extensively about the presumption of human superiority. He questioned why we assume our way of knowing is the only valid way. He asked why verbal intelligence should be valued above every other form of awareness. In doing so, he opened a door that most philosophers of his time refused to walk through: the possibility that animals understand us better than we understand ourselves. Modern neuroscience supports this. Studies show that interacting with animals lowers cortisol, increases oxytocin, and activates the same neural pathways associated with human bonding. But it goes deeper than chemistry. What animals provide is presence without agenda. They exist in the moment without dragging the past or future into every interaction. This is why therapy animals work. This is why emotional support animals are not just trendy but necessary. People who prefer animals have discovered something essential: that connection does not require complexity to be real. That understanding does not need words to be profound. That acceptance without conditions still exists, just not in the places we have been taught to look. Montaigne's insight was this: the greatest arrogance is believing that human consciousness is the only consciousness that matters. The greatest humility is recognizing that other forms of awareness might access truths we have lost. Language is both humanity's greatest achievement and greatest burden. We use words to connect, but words also separate. Every sentence carries the possibility of misunderstanding. Every conversation risks offense. Every attempt at intimacy requires navigating a minefield of interpretation. Animals bypass this entirely. They communicate through energy, body language, and presence. They do not need to explain their needs or justify their feelings. They simply exist, and in that existence, they offer a mirror that reflects us without distortion. Montaigne called this natural sincerity. He believed that civilization had layered so many masks onto human interaction that we had lost the ability to simply be with one another. We perform versions of ourselves. We curate our presentations. We hide what we fear will be rejected and amplify what we think will be accepted. This is exhausting. This is why so many people report feeling lonely even when surrounded by others. You can be in a room full of humans and still feel completely unseen because everyone is too busy managing their own performance to actually witness yours. Animals do not perform. A dog does not pretend to be happier than it is to make you comfortable. A cat does not hide its needs to avoid inconveniencing you. They exist in radical authenticity, and this authenticity creates space for you to drop your own masks. Montaigne wrote, "We need very strong ears to hear ourselves judged freely." He understood that honest feedback is so rare precisely because most human communication is filtered through politeness, strategy, and self-interest. Animals give you feedback that is completely honest yet never cruel. They withdraw when they need space. They approach when they want connection. There is no manipulation in it. No hidden agenda. This is the remedy for those who prefer animals. They are not escaping humanity. They are remembering what unfiltered connection feels like. They are accessing a form of relationship that existed before social conditioning taught us to distrust our instincts and perform our personalities. The burden of social masks is real. We wear them so long we forget they are masks. We become exhausted maintaining versions of ourselves that may not even be true. Animals remind us that beneath all the performance, there is still a creature who simply exists. And that creature is enough. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher who influenced Montaigne deeply, wrote about the difference between the noise of humanity and the peace of nature. He observed that cities are full of people but empty of connection. That crowds increase isolation rather than cure it. That the constant chatter of human society often drowns out the voice of wisdom. Seneca fled Rome repeatedly, seeking solitude not because he hated people but because he understood something crucial: restoration requires silence. Animals offer this. They are present without being loud. They provide companionship without demanding constant engagement. This is why misanthropy is often just disappointment. People who claim to hate humanity rarely hate humans individually. What they hate is the gap between what human connection could be and what it has become. They are grieving the loss of authenticity. They are exhausted by the performance that modern social life demands. Plutarch, another ancient voice Montaigne revered, wrote about the ethical treatment of animals and suggested that how we treat creatures who cannot defend themselves reveals our true character. He understood what modern psychology now confirms: cruelty and disconnection exist on a spectrum. Those who can find empathy for animals often possess a sensitivity that the harsh world of human interaction has wounded. This is the modern crisis. We live in the most connected era in human history, Yet loneliness has reached epidemic levels. We have thousands of online friends but no one who truly sees us. We share constantly but reveal rarely. We communicate endlessly but connect less and less. Animals cut through this. A dog does not care about your social media presence. A cat is not impressed by your job title. They relate to the part of you that exists beneath all the roles and identities. They see the human, not the resume. Epicurus taught that the highest pleasure is the absence of pain, and the deepest peace comes from friendships that require nothing but mutual presence. This is what animals provide. They are not transactional. They do not keep score. They do not withdraw love as punishment or offer it as reward. They simply exist alongside you, and in that existence, they offer what most human relationships have forgotten how to give: unconditional presence. The supporting witnesses agree: Seneca on the peace of nature, Plutarch on the ethics of kindness to creatures, Socrates on questioning assumptions of superiority, Epicurus on simple pleasures. They all point to the same truth that Montaigne crystallized: that humanity has complicated itself into isolation, and animals remember the way back. Finding balance between loving animals and not hating people is not about choosing sides. It is about recognizing what each offers and what each costs. Animals provide unconditional acceptance and emotional safety. Humans provide intellectual challenge, shared meaning, and the possibility of being truly known in all your complexity. The wisdom is not in rejecting one for the other. The wisdom is in understanding why you need both. Animals teach you what pure presence feels like. They remind you that connection does not require constant explanation. They show you that acceptance exists without conditions. This is healing. This is necessary. This is not escapism but recovery. But humans offer something animals cannot: the ability to be witnessed in your full story. Animals love you, but they do not understand your history, your dreams, your fears in the way another human can. The goal is not to replace human connection with animal connection. The goal is to let animals teach you what authentic connection feels like so you can begin demanding it from humans too. Stop accepting relationships built on performance. Stop tolerating connections that require you to shrink or hide. Stop settling for surface-level interactions that leave you feeling more alone than before. Animals have shown you what is possible. Now bring that standard to your human relationships. This requires courage. It means risking rejection. It means being vulnerable in a world that punishes vulnerability. But Montaigne would argue this is the only path worth walking. He wrote, "The most certain sign of wisdom is cheerfulness." He meant that true wisdom brings peace, not anxiety. If your human relationships create more anxiety than peace, they are not wisdom. They are compromise. Montaigne spent his final years in his tower, surrounded by books and his cat, writing essays that would change philosophy forever. He was not a hermit. He was not a misanthrope. He was a man who understood the value of solitude and the cost of shallow connection. He chose depth over breadth, quality over quantity, presence over performance. You can do the same. Love your animals without guilt. They are not substitutes for human connection. They are teachers of what connection should feel like. Let them show you unconditional acceptance. Let them remind you of presence without agenda. Then take that knowing into your human relationships and refuse to accept anything less. If this resonates, if you have ever felt more understood by an animal than a person, leave a comment sharing your story. Subscribe if you want more philosophical psychology that actually speaks to how you live. And remember what Montaigne discovered when he played with his cat. The question is not whether animals can think, but whether we have forgotten how to simply be. The wisdom is in the silence. The healing is in the presence. The truth is in the acceptance that asks nothing but offers everything.